little scenery out the window as we land in Paris. Here we'll be picked up by our transfer bus and taken directly into a busy day of touring.
You are in the country of bonjour here. And we are going directly to the Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel Tower, the landmark of Paris. You know already, you have seen pictures, you have seen films.
There's certainly no better place to take a picture in Paris than at the Eiffel Tower.
Who said that?
And it's also a good place to buy some things from the vendors. They sell them pretty cheap. Make sure you get the settings right on all these cameras flashing. There's probably no object in the world that's been photographed more than the Eiffel Tower. And for good reason. It's really a spectacular monument.
I get all three of you.
Everybody's burning up their French money already. Oh.
Yeah, three of them?
And then the Dome Church was built in 1680. And nowadays it's not a church consecrated anymore. It is a museum. Because when Napoleon died in 1821 in St. Helens Island, where he was exiled, they had to bury the emperor somewhere. So they had the idea to bury the emperor in the Dome Church. So this is the reason now it is Napoleon's museum and Napoleon's tomb. You see? But the style of architecture of this Dome Church is exactly the same style as the Palace of Versailles, so that means the 17th century classical architecture of France. Very elegant, as you can see, the proportion, and superb. The dome gilded with gold leaf of 23 carats, about 400 kilograms of gold leaf to put up on the dome. Oh, this is beautiful.
And then we continue our city tour on the bus, passing the Grand Palais, going over the Pont Alexandre. It really helps to have a local guide explain the sights of the city to you as we travel along through the Place de la Concorde.
The guillotine, because the guillotine was erected on this square at the entrance of the Champs-Élysées, and we got rid of our king. But initially, the people wanted to share the power with the king, and it's called Mary Magdalene, La Madeleine. We call it. Ahead is a department store called Printemps, which means spring, and it was.
Well, we've had a quick look at some of the main highlights of Paris. We'll be back in town the next day for a walking tour. It'll take us to the Louvre and Notre Dame and over to the left bank. But for now, we're having lunch and then continuing on our bus tour out to the suburb to see the Palace of Versailles.
And Louis XV decided to have new apartments, so he ordered to build this one. And it was the last king of France. He decided to save Versailles and to transform Versailles into a museum dedicated to all the glories of France and open Versailles to the public.
So welcome in the grounds of Versailles. You came at the right moment because it's only on Sunday afternoons that you can enjoy the fountains. They don't work in the week time. And not only the fountains are on, but the music is on. The music specifically written for the King of France, Louis XIV, who wanted all this place designed to celebrate his glory. The French gardens are famous all over the world. You've heard of the French gardens. And this fountain, like everything else in this palace and in the grounds, is meaningful. That is, there is a message. Every single statue celebrates something. on top, there are marble statues, actually Apollo's mother. And in fact, all around, you see strange figures and you see people. And what's wrong with these people? If you look on the left-hand side, you'll see one with a frog's head. And this is because these people, the frogs and the turtles, were people who were naughty with Apollo and Dinah. They were mean, and so Laton asked for Jupiter's help, and he turned them into frogs and turtles to punish them. And the message of Louis XIV, the King of France, was that the noblemen, if they didn't behave, they would be crushed. Now, further on, there's another beautiful fountain which shows Apollo on his chariot mounting up to the realm of the gods, right?
When you're visiting Paris, if you can possibly arrange your schedule so that you go out to Versailles on a Sunday, it'll really be worthwhile, because that's the only day that the fountains are going with the music. It's an extravaganza that you don't want to miss. The courtyard of Versailles is a spectacular backdrop for us for one of our many group photographs. And then we'll be touring inside the great palace that was built for Louis XIV. And our local guide will walk us through and explain the different rooms.
There we go.
The famous Hall of Mirrors, it's called. Now, I told you this room was the ballroom at night, but in the daytime anyone could get in. The room they chose to celebrate the defeat of the German after World War I. But there is another Treaty of Versailles which was signed here, which is even more interesting for you, because it celebrated the independence of Americans from England. Did I show you how they dance at the time of Louis XIV? They dance like this. Da, 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 da. You notice in the decorations some musical instruments. Here we are in the Salon of Peace. And what do we do on peace days? We play music. And they had champion music here, right? Louis XIV, as he was not dressed like that. As the King of France, he was not dressed like that. Here he's represented like a Roman emperor. But here, in fact, he's represented like as a hero. You recognize the king, don't you? He was 23 at this time, and it's an important time because that's when he took over and ruled by himself. And he's known as having said, the state, it's me, right? He instaured despotism, we call that, absolutism. And he looks very grand. In fact, he was hardly taller than me, but he cheated by wearing heels. You notice that he doesn't wear pants. He wears breeches and silk stockings with garters, you see, to hold them. And Marie Antoinette, you recognize here, she was a beautiful Austrian princess. You've heard of her in Vienna, haven't you? She did not understand what poverty meant. And it was a time when the French people were short of food and they were starving. And she spent a fortune to decorate this nice bedroom. This chandelier is specifically beautiful because it's original. You can tell the quality of the reflection. It's crystal. This room, in this salon, they had public meals 3 times a week, and people were invited to come and watch. And they had plenty of food, 17 different courses they had, 17. Marie Antoinette in the middle with the beautiful dress. The French fashion at the time was really very, very exquisite and unique. Everybody envied the French way. And people wanted to copy Versailles. So this room is a complete change again because it celebrates one major part of our history, French history. And Napoleon, as you know, was not a king and he took over the power, but he had to show his legitimacy. But as he was a smart boy, like you, in fact, he went around the problem by presenting himself like the heir of the Roman emperors, because Napoleon told the Pope seated behind him to stay quiet, to keep quiet, and that he would do the business himself. And he had to crown Josephine as well as himself, and over 250 people are represented here. We're finished. All right, so I think you had enough. Thank you for your attention. We'll take you back to the bus.
This has been a very long and busy day for us. We started out actually in Vienna early this morning and flew to Paris, did our city tour, and came right out to Versailles for this walking tour of the gardens and the palace interior. And now some of us are pretty dead. But it's back to the hotel to rest, have dinner, and spend the night. Quick view of the Arc de Triomphe along the way. And we get to check into our hotel finally. We've been in Paris all day, but now we're just getting to the hotel and a chance to rest and relax. And then the next morning, we begin another big day.
Please, everybody. Now we're going to have a very nice day today. Happy birthday, dear Tracy. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jennifer. Happy birthday to you.
So good morning to all of you, right? And
Today we'll introduce you to two more of our Parisian city guides. We start with a little panoramic tour driving past the opera and down the Rue de l'Opera.
and the first avenue made is going to be this one, the Avenue of Opera, outside the main city hall of the city of Paris, called Hôtel de Ville, the city house. We're going to do it to another island so that you can see also the beauty of other monuments on the way. And right now we are going to get into this island from the 17th century, where extremely rich people live today, many cinema stars. We are going to get to the Notre Dame, as you can see. One thing about this left bank, this is where the idea of university started in France, okay? This is where 8 centuries ago was built the most famous university of France, called La Sorbonne. And let me tell you that I'm proud to be one of the Sorbonne's professors. We're going to get off in a minute